I woke up that morning and knew exactly what day it was. May 15th. My son's birthday. He was turning 33 this year. 33 years since I first held him in my arms. 33 years since I promised him I would love him no matter what. That I would protect him. That I would always be there. But this year I decided to do something different. I decided not to say a word. I made my tea slowly that morning. The kitchen was quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. I could hear my own breathing. I sat down at the table and wrapped my hands around the warm cup. And I made a choice. I would not remind anyone. Not my son. Not my daughter-in-law. Not a single soul. I would wait. I would watch. I would see who remembered without being told. You might think that sounds cold. You might think it sounds like a game. But it wasn't. It was something deeper than that. It was a test I never thought I would have to give. A test born not out of cruelty but out of exhaustion. Out of years of invisible labor. Out of birthdays I spent planning for everyone else while mine passed by like just another Thursday. I heard footsteps upstairs. My son was awake. I listened as he moved around his room. The sound of a drawer opening. The shuffle of clothes. The bathroom door closing. Normal sounds. Morning sounds. Sounds I had heard 1,000 times before. But today they felt different. Today I was listening for something else. I was listening for a pause. A realization. A moment where he would stop and think, wait. What day is it today? It never came. He came downstairs a few minutes later. Hair still damp from the shower. Shirt half tucked in. He walked into the kitchen with his phone in his hand. Scrolling. Always scrolling. Good morning, Ma, he said without looking up. Good morning, Beta, I replied. He poured himself coffee. Added sugar. Stirred it quickly. Still looking at his phone. I watched him. I waited. He took a sip. Grabbed a piece of toast from the counter. Checked the time on his phone. I have an early meeting, he said. I will probably be late tonight. Okay, I said quietly. He kissed my forehead. The same quick kiss he gave me every morning. A routine. A habit. Something done without thought. And then he left. The door closed behind him. I sat there staring at my tea. He did not remember. Or maybe he did. Maybe he was waiting for me to say something. Maybe he thought I would remind him like I always did. Like I had done every single year since he was a child. But I did not. Not this time. I heard her footsteps next. My daughter-in-law. She came down the stairs slowly. She was always slow in the mornings. She liked to take her time. I used to think it was because she was tired. Now I think it is just her way. Her rhythm. Different from mine. She walked into the kitchen and barely glanced at me. Is there tea, she asked. Yes, I said. I just made it. She poured herself a cup and sat down across from me. She scrolled through her phone just like my son had. The two of them were so alike in that way. Always somewhere else. Always half present. I waited again. I waited to see if she would say anything. If she would acknowledge the day. If she would even hint at knowing. But she said nothing. She finished her tea. Got up. Grabbed her bag. I have a salon appointment, she said. I will be back in the afternoon. Okay, I said. And she left too. The house was empty now. Just me and the silence. I sat there for a long time. I did not cry. I did not feel angry. I just felt something heavy settle in my chest. Something old and tired. I got up and started cleaning the kitchen. I washed the cups. Wiped down the counter. Put everything back in its place. I moved through the motions automatically. My hands knew what to do even when my mind was somewhere else. I thought about all the birthdays I had celebrated for him. The first one. When he turned 1. I baked a small cake even though he could not eat it yet. I decorated the house with balloons. I invited family. I took so many pictures. I wanted him to know he was loved, even if he would not remember it. The 5th birthday. When he wanted a superhero theme. I stayed up all night making paper masks for all his friends. I drew each one by hand. I remember my fingers aching. But I remember his face even more. The way he ran around pretending to fly. The way he laughed. The 10th. The 15th. The 20th. Every single year I planned something. I baked something. I made sure he felt seen. I made sure he felt special. And now here I was. Sitting in an empty kitchen. On his 33rd birthday. And no one had said a word. I thought about my own birthdays. How many of them had passed without celebration? How many times I had hinted? How many times I had hoped someone would remember without me having to ask? I stopped counting years ago. I told myself it did not matter. That birthdays were just days. That I was too old to care about cake and candles and songs. But the truth is I did care. I cared every single time. I just learned not to show it. I learned to smile and say, oh, it is fine. I learned to pretend I forgot too. I learned to make everyone else comfortable with their forgetting. But it hurt. Every time. And I wondered if my son knew that. If he had ever thought about it. If he had ever noticed that his mother never had a party. Never had a cake. Never had anyone sing to her. I wondered if he would care. I spent the rest of the morning doing laundry, folding clothes, putting things away. I kept myself busy. I did not want to sit still. I did not want to think too much. But my mind kept wandering back. To the calendar on the wall. To the date circled in red. A circle I had drawn weeks ago. A circle no one else seemed to see. Afternoon came slowly. The sun moved across the kitchen floor. The light changed. The house stayed quiet. I made myself lunch. Just rice and dal. I ate alone at the table. I chewed slowly. I was not really hungry, but I ate anyway. I heard the door open around 2. She was back. My daughter-in-law walked in carrying shopping bags. New clothes. New shoes. I could see the labels. She dropped them on the couch and went upstairs without a word. I looked at the bags. I thought about the money spent. I thought about the birthday no one remembered. And I felt something crack inside me. Not loudly. Just a small quiet break. Like a hairline fracture in glass. I went to my room. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the wall. I thought about calling him. I thought about saying, hey beta, do you know what today is? But I did not. Because I wanted to see. I wanted to see if love could exist without reminders. I wanted to see if care could happen without prompting. I wanted to know if I mattered enough to be remembered. Evening came. The sky outside turned orange. Then pink. Then deep purple. I heard him come home around 7. I heard him talking to her upstairs. Their voices muffled through the walls. I could not make out the words, but I could hear the tone. Casual. Light. Normal. I went to the kitchen and started making dinner. I made his favorite. Aloo paratha. The way he liked it. Crispy on the outside. Soft on the inside. With extra butter. I set the table. 3 plates. 3 glasses. Everything in its place. They came down together. He smiled when he saw the food. Wow ma. Aloo paratha. You are the best. I smiled back. We sat down. We ate. We talked about small things. Work. Traffic. The weather. No one mentioned the date. No one said happy birthday. No one acknowledged that today was supposed to be special. I watched him eat. I watched him laugh at something she said. I watched him reach for another paratha. And I realized something. He was happy. He was content. He had no idea anything was missing. And that hurt more than anything else. After dinner he went to the living room. Turned on the TV. Settled into the couch like it was just another night. She went upstairs. I cleaned the kitchen alone. I washed the dishes slowly. I wiped down the counters. I put away the leftovers. And when I was done I stood there in the dim light of the kitchen. I looked at the clock. It was almost 9. In 3 more hours the day would be over. And no one would have remembered. I went to my room. I sat on my bed. I did not cry. I just sat there. Feeling the weight of silence. Feeling the weight of invisibility. Feeling the weight of love that was given but never returned in the same measure. I thought about my mother. How she used to tell me that being a mother means loving without expecting. How she used to say that children grow up and forget. How she used to say that is just how it is. I believed her. I tried to accept it. But sitting there in that quiet room on my son's birthday that no one remembered, I realized something. Just because something is common does not mean it is right. Just because something is expected does not mean it does not hurt. And just because I am a mother does not mean I do not deserve to be remembered too. I lay down. I stared at the ceiling. And I made another decision. I would continue to stay silent. I would continue to watch. Because this was no longer just about a birthday. This was about something much deeper. This was about whether love in this house was a two-way street or a one-way sacrifice. And I needed to know the answer, even if it broke my heart to find out. The night passed slowly. I heard him laugh at something on TV. I heard her moving around upstairs. I heard all the sounds of a normal evening in a normal house. But nothing about this felt normal to me, because today was not just another day. It was the day I realized I had become invisible, and tomorrow I would wake up and see if anyone noticed. I did not sleep well that night. I kept waking up, looking at the clock, watching the hours pass. Midnight came and went. The birthday was officially over, and no one had said a word. I lay there in the dark and let my mind wander back to the beginning, back to when he was born. I remember that day so clearly. The pain, the fear, the overwhelming rush of love when they placed him in my arms. He was so small, so fragile. His fingers curled around mine and I thought, this is it. This is what my life is for. I was 24 years old. I did not know anything about being a mother. But I learned. I learned how to calm him when he cried. I learned how to feed him in the middle of the night even when I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. I learned how to read his sounds, his needs, his moods. I gave up sleep. I gave up my body. I gave up any idea of who I used to be. And I did it gladly, because he was mine, and I was his. I thought that bond would last forever. I thought it was unbreakable. But somewhere along the way things changed. Not all at once. Slowly, like seasons shifting. When he was 5, he used to follow me everywhere. He would hold my hand when we crossed the street. He would climb into my lap when he was scared. He would tell me everything. Every little thought. Every little dream. I was his whole world. And he was mine. When he turned 10, he started spending more time with his friends. He still came to me when he was hurt, when he needed something. But the conversations got shorter. The hugs got quicker. I told myself that was normal. Boys grow up. They need space. They need independence. I told myself I should be proud. And I was. But I also missed him. When he turned 15, he barely talked to me at all. He spent hours in his room. Door closed. Music playing. I would knock and ask if he wanted dinner. He would say, yeah, just leave it outside. I left it outside. Every single time. Even though it hurt. Even though I wanted to sit with him. To talk to him. To know what he was thinking. But I gave him space. Because that is what you do. You let them grow. Even when it feels like they are growing away from you. When he turned 20, he moved out for college. I cried the day he left. I stood in his empty room and cried like I had lost something I would never get back. His father told me I was being dramatic. He said he is just going to college. He will be back. But I knew better. I knew that once they leave, they never really come back. Not in the same way. He came home for holidays. For birthdays. For family events. But he was different. He had his own life now. His own friends. His own world. Or if I would remain unseen. Unloved in the loudest silence I had ever known. And I was just a part of it. Not the center anymore. I tried to be okay with that. I tried to adjust. I focused on other things. I took care of the house. I took care of his father. I stayed busy. But there was always this ache. This quiet longing. This feeling that I had given everything and now I was left with empty hands. When he turned 28, he told me he was getting married. I was happy for him. I really was. She seemed nice. Educated. Pretty. Confident. I thought she would be good for him. I thought maybe she would take care of him the way I did. I thought maybe I could finally rest. But I also felt something else. Fear. Because I knew that once he got married I would matter even less. I would no longer be the most important woman in his life. And I was right. The wedding was beautiful. I planned most of it. I coordinated with the caterers. I picked out the decorations. I made sure everything was perfect. I barely slept for weeks. But on the wedding day I stood there smiling, watching my son marry the woman he loved. And I felt proud. But I also felt like I was saying goodbye. After the wedding they moved in with us. It made sense. We had the space. And I thought it would be nice. I thought I would get to spend more time with him. I thought things would feel normal again. But they did not. Because now there was someone else. Someone who had opinions. someone who had routines, someone who did not grow up in this house and did not understand how things worked. At first I tried to be accommodating. I asked her what she liked to eat. I asked her if she needed anything. I tried to make her feel welcome. But she was distant. Polite but distant. She would smile and say thank you, but there was no warmth behind it. No real connection. I told myself to be patient. I told myself it takes time to adjust. I told myself she was probably just nervous. But months passed. And nothing changed. She started rearranging things in the kitchen. She started cooking separately. She started making plans without asking me. And my son let her. He did not say anything. He did not defend me. He did not even seem to notice. I started feeling like a guest in my own home. Like I was in the way. Like I was tolerated but not wanted. I remember one evening I made tea for everyone. I brought it to the living room. She looked at it and said, "Oh, I do not drink tea this late." I said, "Oh, I am sorry. I did not know." She said, "It is fine." But her tone was not fine. Her tone said, "You should have asked." I took the tea back to the kitchen. I poured it down the sink. And I stood there feeling foolish. Feeling small. Another time I suggested we all go out for dinner. She said, "We already have plans." I said, "Oh, okay. Maybe another time." There was no other time. I stopped suggesting things after that. I stopped trying to include myself. I just stayed in my corner of the house and tried not to be a burden. And my son, my sweet boy, he did not notice. He was busy with work, busy with his wife, busy with his life. I became background noise. I became the woman who cooked and cleaned and stayed out of the way. I thought about my own marriage. How different it was. When I got married, I moved into my mother-in-law's house. I was terrified, but I tried. I woke up early every morning. I helped with the cooking. I asked for her advice. I respected her, even when it was hard, even when I wanted to do things my own way, because that is what I was taught. That is what respect looked like. But things are different now. The world has changed. Daughters-in-law do not feel the same obligation, and sons do not enforce it. So mothers are left in the middle, expected to give everything, expected to receive nothing. I thought about my own mother-in-law, how she used to complain that I did not do enough, how she used to criticize the way I cooked, how she used to make little comments that stung. I swore I would never be like that. I swore I would be kind. I swore I would be understanding. And I have been. I have bitten my tongue 1,000 times. I have swallowed my pride. I have let things go that I should have spoken up about. Because I did not want to be the difficult mother-in-law. I did not want to be the villain. But maybe that was my mistake. Maybe silence is not peace. Maybe silence is just surrendering. I thought about all the birthdays I had celebrated for him over the years. The cakes I baked. The decorations I put up. The gifts I saved up for. I thought about his 18th birthday. How I threw him a surprise party. How I invited all his friends. How I spent days preparing. He was so happy that night. He hugged me and said, "You are the best mom ever." I held on to that moment for years. I replayed it in my mind whenever I felt unappreciated. Whenever I felt invisible. I told myself, he loves you. He just does not know how to show it anymore. But now I was not so sure. Because love is not just a feeling. Love is action. Love is effort. Love is showing up. And on his 33rd birthday, no one showed up for him. Not even him. Because he did not even realize the day had passed. I thought about my own birthdays. How I used to hope someone would remember. How I used to drop hints. Oh, my birthday is coming up soon. Oh, I used to love birthday cake when I was younger. But no one ever picked up on the hints. Or maybe they did and just chose to ignore them. Either way, the result was the same. Year after year, my birthday came and went. Sometimes my son would remember a day late. "Oh, my, I'm sorry. I forgot. Happy belated birthday." I would smile and say, "It is okay, beta. It is just a day." But it was not just a day. It was a reminder. A reminder that I was not a priority. A reminder that I was expected to give but not to receive. A reminder that my role was to serve and to fade into the background. I stopped expecting anything after a while. I stopped hoping. I just accepted it. This is your life now. This is what it means to be a mother. You are needed but not celebrated. You are necessary but not valued. You are loved but only in theory. I lay there in the dark. The house was silent. Everyone was asleep. But I was wide awake, thinking about everything I had given, everything I had sacrificed, and wondering if any of it mattered, wondering if anyone even noticed. I thought about the look on my son's face at dinner. How happy he was. How content. How completely unaware. And I realized something that made my chest tighten. He was happy because he had everything he needed. He had a wife who loved him. He had a home that was taken care of. He had food on the table. He had clean clothes. He had comfort. And he had all of that because of me. But he did not see me. He saw the results of my labor, but not the labor itself. He enjoyed the life I built for him, but he did not acknowledge the builder. And that is the loneliest feeling in the world. To be essential but invisible. To be necessary but unnoticed. To pour yourself out every single day, and have no one see the emptiness you are left with. I closed my eyes. I tried to push the thoughts away. I tried to tell myself I was being dramatic. I tried to tell myself it was just one birthday. But deep down I knew. This was not about one birthday. This was about years of slow, quiet erosion. This was about a relationship that had become one-sided. This was about love that had turned into duty. And I did not know how to fix it, or if it could even be fixed. All I knew was that I was tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of being silent. Tired of pretending everything was fine when it was not. I thought about what I would say if I could say anything. If I could speak without fear of being called dramatic. Without fear of being labeled difficult. Without fear of being the bad guy. I would say I am tired. I would say I need to be seen. I would say I need to matter. I would say I am not asking for much. Just acknowledgement. Just effort. Just proof that I am more than a convenience. But I did not say any of that. I stayed silent. Because that is what I have always done. That is what I have been trained to do. And maybe that is the problem. Maybe my silence taught them that I do not need anything. Maybe my strength taught them I am indestructible. Maybe my sacrifice taught them that I do not matter. I opened my eyes. The room was still dark. I looked at the ceiling. And I made a promise to myself. I would keep watching. I would keep waiting. I would see how long it took for someone to notice. And when they finally did, I would decide what to do. But until then I would carry this weight alone. Just like I always have. The next morning I woke up feeling hollow. I did not want to get out of bed. But I did. Because that is what I do. I went to the kitchen. I made tea. I started breakfast. The same routine. The same motions. But everything felt different now. Like I was watching myself from a distance. Like I was acting out a role in a play I did not audition for. He came downstairs first. "Morning, Ma," he said. "Morning, Beta," I said back. He poured coffee. Grabbed toast. Checked his phone. The same as always. I wanted to ask him something. I wanted to say, "Do you know what yesterday was?" But I did not. I just watched him. Waiting. He finished his coffee. Grabbed his bag. "I will be late again tonight," he said. "Okay," I said. He left. And once again I was alone with my silence. She came down a little later. She was dressed already. Hair done. Makeup light but polished. She looked like she was going somewhere. "I am meeting some friends for brunch," she said. She did not ask if I needed anything. She did not offer to help with anything. She just stated her plans like I was supposed to note them down and adjust accordingly. "Okay," I said. She grabbed her purse and left. The door closed. The house went quiet again. I stood in the kitchen. I looked around at everything I had just cleaned. Everything I had just cooked. Everything I had just prepared for people who barely noticed. And I felt anger rising. Not loud. Not explosive. Just a slow burning frustration that I had been swallowing for too long. I sat down at the table. I stared at my tea. And I thought about how easy it had become for them. How easy it was to take me for granted. How easy it was to assume I would always be there. Always cooking. Always cleaning. Always managing everything behind the scenes. I thought about the shopping bag she brought home yesterday. New clothes. New shoes. Expensive things. And I thought about the birthday no one remembered. The birthday that would have cost nothing. Just a word. Just a smile. Just a moment of acknowledgement. But even that was too much to give. I spent the rest of the day doing laundry. I folded clothes slowly. I thought about each piece as I folded it. His shirts, ironed and pressed. Her dresses, delicate and expensive. I took care of all of it. I made sure everything was ready. I made sure their lives ran smoothly. But who took care of me? Who made sure I was okay? No one. 'Cause I was supposed to be fine. I was supposed to be strong. I was supposed to not need anything. Afternoon came. I made myself lunch. I ate alone again. I washed my own dish. Put it away. I sat in the living room and stared at the TV without turning it on. I thought about calling someone. Friend maybe. But I did not have many friends left. Most of them had moved away. Or passed away. Or we had just drifted apart. That is what happens when you spend your whole life focused on your family. You lose yourself. You lose your connections. You lose everything that made you a person outside of being a mother. A wife. Caretaker. I thought about my sister. She lived in another city. We talked sometimes. But not often. I thought about calling her. Telling her what happened. But I already knew what she would say. That is just how it is nowadays. Kids are busy. You cannot expect too much. Everyone always said that. You cannot expect too much. But why not? Why is it too much to expect respect? Why is it too much to expect effort? Why is it too much to expect the people you raised to care about you the way you cared about them? I did not call her. I just sat there. Evening came slowly. I started dinner preparations. I chopped vegetables. I stirred pots. I moved through the kitchen like a machine. Efficient. Empty. She came home around 6. She walked in carrying more bags. She dropped them on the couch. I did not ask what she bought. I did not care. She went upstairs without saying anything. He came home around 7:30. He looked tired. Long day, he said as he dropped his bag by the door. I nodded. I plated his food. I set it on the table. He sat down and started eating. She came down a few minutes later. She sat across from him. They talked about their day, work, friends, plans for the weekend. I stood near the counter, listening, but not really part of the conversation. Just there, always there, but never included. After a few minutes, she said something that made my hands go still. You know what Priya said today? Who I asked quietly. My friend Priya, she said without looking at me. She said her mother-in-law threw a huge tantrum because they forgot her birthday. Can you imagine? A grown woman throwing a tantrum over a birthday. She laughed. My son smiled. That is so childish, he said. Right, she agreed. I mean, birthdays are for kids. Once you are an adult, it is just another day. I do not even celebrate mine anymore. Just feels silly. He nodded. Yes, same. I honestly forget my own birthday half the time. She laughed again. Exactly. People need to grow up. I stood there frozen, my hands gripping the edge of the counter. I felt my throat tighten. I felt heat rise to my face. But I said nothing. I just stood there, listening to them dismiss something that mattered so deeply to me. Listening to them call it childish. Listening to them mock the very thing I had been silently grieving. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, do you know what day yesterday was? I wanted to throw the truth at them and watch them scramble. But I did not. Because I was not ready. Not yet. I turned around and walked out of the kitchen. I went to my room. I closed the door. I sat on the edge of my bed. And I let the tears come. Not loud. Just silent streams down my face. I cried for the boy I raised who no longer saw me. I cried for the years I spent believing love would be returned. I cried for the version of myself that used to believe in fairness. I cried because I realized something. I realized that to them I was not a person. I was a function. I was convenience. I was the woman who made their lives easier. And as long as I kept doing that, they would never see me as anything more. I wiped my face. I took a deep breath. And I made another decision. I would continue this silence. I would continue to watch. Because I needed them to see what life looked like when I stopped carrying everything. I needed them to feel my absence before they could appreciate my presence. It was not cruelty. It was survival. It was the only way I knew to make them understand. I lay down. I stared at the ceiling. And I thought about tomorrow. About how I would wake up and do it all again. But this time with a little more distance. a little more detachment, because I could not keep breaking my own heart. I had to protect what was left of it, even if that meant pulling away from the people I loved most. Days passed, one after another, and no one said anything. No one acknowledged the missed birthday. No one seemed to notice my silence. Life just went on. Normal. Routine. Unbothered. I kept doing what I always did. Cooking. Cleaning. Managing. But I did it differently now. I did it with less heart. I made food but I did not ask if they liked it. I cleaned but I did not go the extra mile. I was present but only physically. Emotionally I had started to pull back. And still no one noticed. That hurt more than I expected. I thought maybe if I changed they would see it. I thought maybe if I became a little quieter, a little less available, they would ask what was wrong. But they did not. Because they were comfortable. Because everything they needed was still being done. Because I had trained them so well that even my sadness was invisible. I started thinking about the actual day. The day of his birthday. I replayed it over and over in my mind. The morning. The silence. The way he left without a second thought. The way she dismissed the entire concept of birthdays as childish. The way they sat at dinner laughing about someone else's mother who had dared to be upset. I wondered what they would have done if I had said something that night. If I had stood up and said that mother they were laughing at. That was me. I am upset too. Would they have apologized? Or would they have told me I was being dramatic? I think I know the answer. And that is why I stayed quiet. Another week passed. I was sitting in the living room one afternoon when I heard the doorbell ring. I got up and opened the door. It was our neighbor, Mrs. Sharma. She was holding a small box. "Oh, Beta, I am so sorry," she said as soon as she saw me. "Sorry for what I asked. I completely forgot your son's birthday. I just realized yesterday when I was looking at my calendar. I had marked it but I got so busy I missed it." She handed me the box. "I baked some laddus. I know it is late but please give this to him with my wishes." I took the box. I felt something twist in my chest. A neighbor. A neighbor remembered. And my own family did not. "Thank you," I said quietly. She smiled. "He is such a good boy. You raised him well." I nodded. She left. I closed the door. I stood there holding the box. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I did neither. I just walked to the kitchen and put the box on the counter. That evening when they came home I did not mention it. I left the box sitting there, waiting to see if anyone would notice. He walked into the kitchen. He saw the box. "What is this?" he asked. "Mrs. Sharma brought it," I said. "For what?" "For your birthday." There was a pause. A long pause. He stared at the box. Then at me. "My birthday," he said slowly. "Yes," I said. She remembered. She felt bad for missing it so she made laddus. He opened the box. He looked inside. "When was my birthday?" he asked. I did not answer right away. I just looked at him. "May 15th," I said finally. His face changed. Confusion. Then realization. Then something that looked like guilt. "That was last week," he said. "Yes," I said. He looked at me. "Why did you not say anything?" I just stared at him. "Why did you not remember?" I said quietly. He did not have an answer. She walked in then. "What is going on?" she asked. "Mrs. Sharma brought laddus," he said. "For my birthday." She looked confused. "Your birthday?" "Yeah. It was last week." She blinked. "Oh, that was it. Just oh. Not I am sorry. Not I did not realize. Just oh. Like it was a minor inconvenience." I turned around and went back to cooking. I did not say another word. Behind me I could hear them talking in low voices. I could not make out the words but I could hear the tone. Defensive. Uncomfortable. But not apologetic. Dinner that night was tense. No one said much. He kept glancing at me. She kept looking at her phone. I ate in silence. When I was done I got up and started washing dishes. He came up behind me. "Ma," he said. I did not turn around. "I am sorry. I did not realize." I kept washing. I should have remembered. I kept washing. "Are you upset?" I turned off the water. I dried my hands. I turned around and looked at him. "Do you know when my birthday is?" I asked. He hesitated. Do you know?" I repeated. "August, I think." "You think?" He looked down. "I am sorry." I nodded slowly. You do not know when my birthday is, but you expect me to remember yours. That is not fair, Ma. Is it not? I turned back to the sink. I finished the dishes in silence. He stood there for a moment. Then he left. I stood there alone, hands in the soapy water. And I realized something. I had spent 33 years remembering his birthday, and he did not even know mine. That night I could not sleep again. I kept thinking about his face when he realized. The guilt, the confusion, but also the defensiveness. Like I was being unfair for pointing it out. Like I was the problem. I thought about all the birthdays I had thrown for him. The time, the money, the effort. And I thought about my own birthdays. The ones that passed without a card. Without a call. Without even a happy birthday text. I thought about how I used to tell myself it did not matter. How I used to convince myself that I was above needing recognition. But I was not. I did need it. I needed to feel seen. I needed to feel valued. I needed to know that the love I gave was not just expected but appreciated. And I did not feel any of that. I felt used. I felt forgotten. I felt like I had given everything and received nothing in return. The next morning I stayed in my room longer than usual. I did not rush to make breakfast. I did not rush to start the day. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking. Eventually I got up. I went to the kitchen. He was already there. He looked uncomfortable. "Morning, Ma," he said. "Morning," I said. I made tea. I did not make breakfast. I just sat down with my tea and stared out the window. He waited. Then he said, "Are you not making breakfast?" "I am not hungry," I said. "Oh." He hesitated. Then he made himself toast. She came down. She looked between us. "What is going on?" she asked. "Nothing," he said. But she did not believe him. She looked at me. I did not look back. I just sipped my tea. The silence was heavy. Finally she said, "We have plans this weekend." "Okay," I said. "We are going to a resort. Just the two of us." "Okay." She waited for me to say something else. I did not. She looked at him. He shrugged. They left for work without another word. I sat there alone. And I felt something shift inside me. I was done. Done pretending. Done smiling through the hurt. Done making excuses for them. I had given them a chance to see me. And they had failed. Now I would see how long it took for them to realize what they had lost. It started small. Little things. Little cracks in the comfortable life they had built on my invisible labor. They did not notice at first. But I did. I started pulling back in ways that were subtle but significant. I stopped asking what they wanted for dinner. I stopped making extra effort. I stopped going out of my way to make their lives easier. I cooked simple meals. One-pot dishes. Nothing fancy. I stopped ironing their clothes unless they specifically asked. I stopped restocking things before they ran out. I stopped managing everything. I just did the bare minimum. And slowly they started to notice. Not directly, but in small frustrations. He could not find his favorite shirt one morning. He came downstairs looking annoyed. "Ma, where is my blue shirt?" "I do not know," I said. "Did you wash it?" "It is in the laundry," I said. "Not ironed." He stared at me. "Can you iron it?" I looked at him. "I am busy," I said. He opened his mouth, closed it, then walked away. She started noticing too. She came into the kitchen one evening and opened the fridge. "There is no milk," she said. "I know," I said. "Can you get some?" "I am not going out," I said. She looked at me surprised. "Then can you add it to the list?" "You can add it yourself," I said. She blinked. Then she walked away without another word. These small moments started adding up. They were not used to me saying no. They were not used to me being unavailable. They were not used to having to manage things themselves. And it made them uncomfortable. But they did not say anything. Not yet. They just exchanged glances. Whispered to each other when they thought I could not hear. What is wrong with her? I do not know. Is she sick? I do not think so. Then what is it? I do not know. She is acting weird. I heard all of it. And I said nothing. Then something else happened. Something I did not plan. But something that changed everything. We had a family gathering. My husband's cousin was visiting from out of town. She came over with her family for lunch. I made food. Simple food. But enough. Everyone sat around the table, talking, laughing. My son was there. His wife was there. And everyone else. At some point the cousin looked at my son and smiled. "So how was your birthday, Beta?" she asked. There was silence. My son looked uncomfortable. "It was fine," he said quickly. "Did you do anything special?" she asked. "Not really." She laughed. "What do you mean not really? Your mother always throws the best celebrations. What did she plan this year?" He did not answer. He glanced at me. Everyone was looking now. I stayed quiet. She noticed. "Wait," she said slowly. "Did you not celebrate?" "We were busy," he said. "Too busy for a birthday," she said lightly. "That does not sound like your mother. She never misses." There was tension now. Everyone could feel it. Another relative spoke up. "When was your birthday, Beta?" "Last month," he mumbled. "Last month," she repeated. "And you did not celebrate?" He shook his head. She looked at me. "Why not?" she asked gently. I looked at her. "No one remembered," I said simply. The table went silent. "What do you mean no one remembered?" "I mean no one remembered," I repeated. "Not even him." The cousin looked shocked. She looked at my son. "You forgot your own birthday." He did not answer. She looked at his wife. "And you?" She looked away. The cousin shook her head slowly. "I do not understand. How does that happen?" I stood up. "Excuse me," I said. I walked out of the room. I went to my bedroom. I closed the door. I could hear voices outside. Muffled. Tense. I sat on my bed. I did not feel victorious. I just felt tired. A few minutes later there was a knock on my door. I did not answer. The knock came again. "Ma." It was him. I stayed quiet. "Ma, please." I took a breath. What I said through the door. "Can I come in?" I did not answer. But I did not stop him either. The door opened slowly. He stepped inside. He looked guilty. More guilty than I had ever seen him. "Ma, I am sorry," he said. I just looked at him. "I did not know you felt this way." "How did you think I felt?" I asked quietly. He looked down. "I do not know. I did not think about it." "Exactly," I said. "You did not think about it. You do not think about me at all." "That is not true." "Is it not?" I said. "Tell me when the last time you asked me how I was. When the last time you noticed if I was tired. If I was sad. If I needed anything." He did not answer. "You do not see me," I said. "You have not seen me in years. I am just the woman who keeps this house running. That is all I am to you." "Ma, that is not fair." I stood up. "Fair," I repeated. "You want to talk about fair. You forgot your own birthday. That is on you. And you forgot mine," I said. "Every single year. You forgot." He looked like I had slapped him. "I never asked you to celebrate it. I never demanded anything. But you did not even try. You did not even remember." "Ma." Your wife called celebrating birthdays childish. She laughed about it. Right in front of me. And you agreed with her." He opened his mouth but nothing came out. "I am not asking for a party," I said. "I am asking to matter. I am asking to be seen. I am asking for you to care even a little bit." "I do care." "Then show me," I said. "Because right now I do not feel it. Right now I feel invisible. And I have felt that way for a very long time." He stood there. Silent. Guilty. But still not really understanding. I walked past him. I went back to the living room. Everyone was still there. The cousin looked at me with sympathy. I smiled at her. A tired smile. She got up and hugged me. "You deserve better," she whispered. I nodded. Because I did. The rest of the gathering was awkward. People tried to make conversation but it was strained. They left earlier than planned. After they were gone the house felt empty. I sat in the living room. He came and sat across from me. She sat next to him. Neither of them said anything for a long time. Finally she spoke. "I did not realize," she said. "I did not know it mattered to you." I looked at her. "You did not ask." She looked uncomfortable. "I am sorry." I nodded. But I did not feel relief. Because sorry was just a word. It did not undo the hurt. It did not change the fact that I had been invisible for so long. He spoke next. "I want to make it up to you," he said. "How?" I asked. "We will celebrate. We will do something special." I shook my head. "I do not want a pity celebration." "It is not pity, Ma." I want to do this. I looked at him. Really, I said. Or do you just want to feel less guilty? He did not answer. I stood up. I am tired, I said. I went to my room. I closed the door. And I sat there in the dark, feeling something shift. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had power. Not because I was angry, but because I had stopped pretending. I had stopped making it easy for them. And now they had to face what they had ignored. I did not know what would happen next. But I knew one thing. I was done being invisible. The truth I was waiting to say. The days after the family gathering were strange. He tried. I will give him that. He tried to talk to me more. He asked how my day was. He offered to help with things. He even remembered to say thank you once or twice. But it all felt forced. Like he was checking boxes. Like he was following a script. Not because he truly understood. But because he was told he should. She tried to. In her own way. She started coming to the kitchen when I was cooking. She would stand there awkwardly. Making small talk. Asking questions. Do you need help? No, I would say. Are you sure? Yes. She did not push. But I could tell she was uncomfortable. She did not know how to fix this. And honestly, I did not think she cared enough to really try. She just did not want to be the villain. One evening I was sitting in my room when he knocked. Ma, can we talk? He said. I opened the door. He came in and sat on the chair near my bed. I stayed standing. What is it? I asked. I want to do something for you, he said. You already said that. I mean it. I want to celebrate your birthday. Properly. The way you always did for me. I looked at him. When is my birthday? I asked. He hesitated. August. What date? He looked down. I do not remember exactly. I nodded slowly. You do not even know the date, I said. I will find out. I will check. I will plan something. I sat down on the bed. I am tired of this, I said quietly. Of what? Of this performance. Of you pretending to care because you got caught. Of you trying to fix things because people judged you. That is not what this is. Is it not? I said. Tell me honestly. If no one had said anything at that lunch, would you be here right now? Would you even be thinking about this? He did not answer. That is what I thought, I said. Ma, I do care. Then where have you been? I asked. Where have you been for the last 5 years? 10 years? Where were you when I needed someone to see me? To hear me? To just acknowledge that I exist? I have been here. No, I said. You have been here physically. But you have not been present. You have not been my son. You have been a stranger who lives in my house. His face crumpled. I did not know you felt like this. Because you did not ask, I said. You did not look. You did not care enough to notice. Tears welled up in his eyes. I am sorry, Ma. I know you are, I said. But sorry does not erase years of neglect. Sorry does not fix the loneliness I have felt. Sorry does not give me back the birthdays I spent hoping someone would remember. What do you want me to do? He asked. Tell me. I will do anything. I looked at him. And I said the truth I had been holding in for too long. I want you to see me, I said. Not as your mother. Not as the woman who cooks and cleans. But as a person. Person with feelings. Person who gets tired. Person who gets hurt. Person who needs love too. I do see you. No, you do not, I said. You see what I do for you. You see the role I play. But you do not see me. He was crying now. I did not mean to hurt you. I know, I said softly. But you did. And you have been hurting me for a long time. How do I fix it? He asked desperately. I do not know if you can, I said honestly. He looked at me with broken eyes. Are you saying you do not forgive me? I am saying forgiveness is not enough, I said. I need change. Real change. Not just for a few weeks. Not just until the guilt fades. I need you to see me every single day. I need you to show up. I need you to care without being reminded. I will, Ma. Promise. Promises are easy, I said. Keeping them is hard. He wiped his face. I will prove it to you. I did not say anything. I just looked at him. My son. The boy I had raised. The man I no longer recognized. After he left, I sat alone in my room for a long time. I thought about everything I had said. Every word. Every truth. It felt like I had opened a door I had kept locked for years. And now I did not know what was on the other side. A few days later she came to me. I was folding clothes in my room. She knocked lightly. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. I nodded. She came in and stood near the door. She looked nervous. "I owe you an apology," she said. I kept folding. "I have not been fair to you," she continued. "I moved into your home. I changed things. I made decisions without asking you. I did not treat you with respect." I looked up at her. "Why?" I asked simply. She blinked. "Why what? Why did you treat me that way? What did I do to deserve it?" She looked down. "Nothing," she said quietly. "You did nothing. Then why?" She took a breath. "Because I was taught that mother-in-laws are controlling, that they interfere, that they make life difficult. So I kept my distance. I built walls before you even had a chance to cross them." "I see," I said. "But you were never like that," she said. "You were kind. You gave me space. You never interfered. And I took advantage of that." "Yes," I said. "You did." She looked like she was going to cry. "I am sorry." I nodded. "Do you forgive me?" she asked. "I do not know yet," I said honestly. She looked hurt. "But I appreciate the apology," I added. She nodded. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "What?" "Why did you not say anything? Why did you let it go on for so long?" I looked at her. "Because I did not want to be the difficult mother-in-law," I said. "I did not want to be the villain. So I stayed quiet. I swallowed my hurt. I convinced myself that silence was strength. But it was not. It was cowardice." She shook her head. "It was not cowardice. It was love." I smiled sadly. "Sometimes love looks like cowardice," she said, "because it makes you accept things you should not accept." She looked at me with something that almost looked like respect. "I want to do better," she said. "Then do it," I said. "Do not just say it. Show me. Show me that I matter. Show me that you see me, not as an obligation, but as a person." She nodded. "I will. We will see," I said. She left. And I sat there holding a shirt in my hands, wondering if any of this would actually change, or if it was just temporary guilt. That night we all sat together for dinner. For the first time in weeks it felt less tense. Not comfortable, but less heavy. He talked about work. She talked about a friend. I listened. And then he said something that surprised me. "Ma, I looked up your birthday." I looked at him. "August 23rd, he said. "I put it in my calendar. With reminders. So I will not forget." I nodded. "Thank you," I said quietly. "And I want to plan something," he said. "Not a pity party. A real celebration. 'Cause you deserve it." I looked at him. And for the first time in a long time I saw something real in his eyes. Not just guilt, but understanding. It was small, but it was there. "Okay," I said. "Really?" he asked. "Really," I said. He smiled. A genuine smile. And I felt something crack open in my chest. Not forgiveness yet, but hope. Fragile. Uncertain. But there. The weeks that followed were different. Not perfect, but different. He started asking me questions. Small things. "Did you sleep well? Do you need anything from the store? How are you feeling today?" They were simple questions. But they meant something. Because they meant he was trying to see me. She changed too. She started helping with dinner. Not every day. But some days. She would chop vegetables while I cooked. We did not talk much. But the silence was less cold. One evening she asked me something. "Why did you never say anything?" I looked at her. "About what?" "About how you felt. About what you needed." I thought about it. "Because I did not think anyone would care," I said. She stopped chopping. "That is not true." "Is it not?" I said. "Tell me honestly. If I had said I am hurt, I feel invisible, would you have listened? Or would you have told me I was being dramatic?" She did not answer right away. Then she said, "I do not know." "At least that is honest," I said. She put the knife down. "I think I would have been defensive," she said. "I think I would have made it about me. I would have said I am trying my best. I would have made you feel guilty for speaking up." I nodded. "That is why I stayed quiet." She looked at me. "That is not fair to you." "No," I said. "It is not." She picked the knife back up. We kept working in silence. But it felt different now. Like we were beginning to understand each other. One afternoon my son came home early from work. I was sitting in the living room reading. He sat down next to me. "Ma, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you regret it?" Regret what? Raising me. Giving up so much for me. I put my book down. I looked at him. No, I said. I do not regret raising you. I do not regret loving you. Then what do you regret? He asked. I thought about it. I regret not loving myself too, I said. I regret giving so much that I disappeared. I regret believing that my worth was tied to how much I sacrificed. I regret not teaching you that love is supposed to go both ways. He looked down. I took that for granted, he said. Yes, I said. You did. I am sorry. I know you are. He looked at me. How do I make sure I do not do that again? I smiled sadly. You pay attention, I said. You notice. You ask. You show up. You make effort even when it is inconvenient. You remember. You care. He nodded. I will. I reached over and squeezed his hand. I believe you, I said. And I did. Not because I was naive, but because I could see the change in him. It was slow, but it was real. A few days later I was in the kitchen when she came in holding her phone. I got a call from my mother, she said. Okay. She told me I need to treat you better. I looked at her. She said I am lucky to have a mother-in-law who is kind, who does not interfere, who gives me space. She said I am ruining it by being selfish. I did not say anything. She put her phone down. She was right, she said. I am selfish. Everyone is selfish sometimes, I said. But I was selfish in a way that hurt you, she said. And I did not even realize it. Are you realizing it now, I asked. Yes, she said. I am. Good, I said. That is a start. She nodded. I want to do something, she said. What? I want to plan something for your birthday. With him. Together. I looked at her surprised. You do not have to do that. I know, she said. But I want to. Not because I feel guilty, but because I want you to feel celebrated. The way you made him feel celebrated all those years. I felt my throat tighten. Okay, I said quietly. She smiled. A real smile. And for the first time I saw warmth in her eyes. The days leading up to my birthday were strange. They were planning something. I could tell. They whispered. They made calls. They left the house together and came back with bags they hid in their room. I did not ask. I just watched. And I felt something I had not felt in years. Anticipation. Not expectation. But hope. On the morning of my birthday I woke up to the smell of tea. I walked to the kitchen. He was standing there with a cup in his hand. Happy birthday, Ma, he said. I smiled. Thank you, Beta. He handed me the cup. I made it the way you like it, he said. I took a sip. It was perfect. She came down a few minutes later. She was holding a small box. Happy birthday, she said. She handed it to me. I opened it. Inside was a bracelet. Simple. Elegant. I got it engraved, she said. I looked closer. Said always seen. I felt tears prick my eyes. It is beautiful, I said. She smiled. I wanted you to have something that reminds you that you matter. I put it on. Thank you, I said. We sat together and had tea. And for the first time in years it felt like we were a family. Later that day they took me out. To a small restaurant I loved. We sat outside. The weather was perfect. We talked. We laughed. We remembered old stories. And I felt light. Not because the past was erased, but because the present felt different. On the way home he said something that made me cry. I am proud to be your son, Ma. I looked at him. But I am sorry it took me this long to show you. I reached over and held his hand. You are showing me now, I said. That is what matters. He nodded. And I could see the regret in his eyes. The bitterness of realizing what he almost lost. But also the relief of knowing it was not too late. That night I lay in bed wearing the bracelet. I looked at the words engraved on it. Always seen. And I realized something. I had spent so many years wanting to be seen by them. But I had forgotten to see myself. I had forgotten that I mattered even when no one else noticed. I had forgotten that my worth was not tied to their acknowledgement. And now I was learning. Learning to see myself. Learning to value myself. Learning to demand the respect I deserved. It was hard. It was painful. But it was necessary. Because I could not keep living in the shadow of other people's neglect. I had to step into the light. Even if I had to do it alone. The celebration they planned was not grand. It was not extravagant. But it was thoughtful. And that made all the difference. They had invited a few people. My sister, Mrs. Sharma from next door. A couple of old friends I had not seen in years. Not a big crowd. Just the people who mattered. The people who had remembered me even when my own family forgot. When I walked into the living room that evening, I was surprised. There were flowers on the table, a cake in the center, candles lit, soft music playing in the background. My sister came up and hugged me. "Happy birthday," she whispered. I hugged her back. I had not realized how much I needed that hug. Mrs. Sharma handed me a card. "I made it myself," she said proudly. I opened it. It was hand-drawn. A little crooked, a little messy, but filled with warmth. "Thank you," I said. She smiled. "You deserve to be celebrated." We all sat together. We ate. We talked. We laughed. And I felt something I had not felt in years. Joy. Not forced. Not polite. Real joy. At one point my son stood up. He looked nervous. He cleared his throat. "I want to say something," he said. Everyone went quiet. He looked at me. "Ma, I have not been a good son." I started to protest, but he held up his hand. "Let me finish," he said. "I took you for granted. I stopped seeing you. I stopped appreciating everything you did for me. For us. I let you become invisible. And I am ashamed of that." I felt tears welling up. "But I am grateful," he continued. "I am grateful you did not give up on me. I am grateful you gave me a chance to see what I was doing wrong. And I promise I will do better." He raised his glass. "To my ma, the strongest woman I know." Everyone raised their glasses. "To ma," they echoed. I wiped my tears. I looked around the room. At the faces of people who cared. People who saw me. People who made me feel like I mattered. And I felt whole. Not because they had fixed everything, but because they were trying. And that was enough. After everyone left, I sat with him and her in the living room. We were tired. But it was a good tired. "Thank you," I said. For what he asked. For today. For trying. For seeing me. He smiled. "Thank you for giving us a chance." She spoke up then. "I learned something these past few weeks," she said. "What?" I asked. "That respect is not automatic. It has to be earned. And I had not earned yours. But I want to." I nodded. "You are earning it," I said. She smiled. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. And then I said something I had been thinking about for days. "Forgive you." They both looked at me. "I forgive you," I repeated. "Not because you have fixed everything, but because I need to move forward. And I cannot do that while holding on to anger." "Ma," he said softly. "But I also need you to know something," I continued. "I forgive you, but I will not forget. I will not forget how it felt to be invisible. And if I ever start feeling that way again, I will speak up. I will not stay silent." "We understand," he said. "Good," I said. She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Thank you for giving us another chance." I squeezed back. "Thank you for taking it." That night I went to bed feeling lighter than I had in years. I looked at the bracelet on my wrist. Always seen. And I made a promise to myself. I would never let myself become invisible again. Not to them. Not to anyone. Not even to myself. I had spent too many years shrinking. Too many years making myself smaller so others could feel bigger. Too many years believing that love meant sacrifice without reciprocation. But I was done with that. I was done being the silent martyr. I was done pretending everything was fine when it was not. I was done waiting for people to see me. I would make myself seen. Not through anger. Not through bitterness. But through boundaries. Through honesty. Through self-respect. I had learned something important through all of this. I had learned that you teach people how to treat you. And I had taught them that I did not need anything. That I was fine being invisible. That my love was unconditional even when theirs was not. But that was a lie. My love was not unconditional. And it should not be. Love without boundaries is not love. It is self-destruction. And I was done destroying myself. I thought about my mother again. The things she used to tell me. Be strong. Do not complain. Sacrifice is love. I understood now that she was wrong. Sacrifice is not love. Sacrifice is part of love. But so is receiving. So is being valued. So is being seen. And if you are only giving and never receiving, then it is not love. It is loss. I closed my eyes. I thought about the birthday that had just passed, the one they forgot, and the one they finally remembered. Both of them had taught me something. The first taught me that I had been invisible. The second taught me that I did not have to be. And that was a gift. Painful one. But a gift nonetheless. Because sometimes you have to break before you can rebuild. Sometimes you have to lose yourself before you can find yourself again. And that is what I had done. I had lost myself in the role of mother. In the role of caretaker. In the role of the woman who always said yes. But now I was finding myself again. Not as a mother. Not as a wife. Not as a servant. But as a person. Person with needs. Person with feelings. A person who deserved to be celebrated. Not just on birthdays. But every single day. I opened my eyes. I looked at the ceiling. And I smiled. A real smile. Because I knew that no matter what happened next I would be okay. I had survived the silence. I had survived the invisibility. I had survived the heartbreak of realizing I was not valued. And I was still here. Still standing. Still strong. But now I was strong in a different way. I was strong enough to ask for what I needed. Strong enough to set boundaries. Strong enough to walk away if I had to. I did not know what the future held. I did not know if they would keep their promises. I did not know if this change was permanent or temporary. But I knew one thing. I would never again wait in silence. I would never again hope without speaking. I would never again disappear. I was here. I was seen. And I mattered. Not because they finally realized it. But because I realized it. And that was enough. The morning light started creeping through the window. A new day was beginning. And with it a new chapter. Not just for them. But for me. A chapter where I was no longer the background character in my own life. A chapter where I was the protagonist. A chapter where I wrote my own story. And this time I would make sure I was seen. Not by anyone else. But by the person who mattered most. Myself. I got out of bed. I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw the lines on my face. The tiredness in my eyes. But I also saw strength. I saw resilience. I saw a woman who had survived. And I was proud. Proud of the journey. Proud of the pain. Proud of the person I was becoming. I walked to the window. I looked outside. The sun was rising. The world was waking up. And so was I. Not from sleep. But from years of silence. From years of invisibility. From years of believing I did not matter. I mattered. And I always had. I just forgot. But I was remembering now. And I would never forget again. This was my life. My story. My truth. And I was finally ready to live it. Not for anyone else. But for me. And that was the greatest celebration of all.